everyone. In this video, I'm going to go over how to figure out lower cost or market. I'm only going to make one video this week. So this video, I'm going to explain the whole concept so that when you do the other practice problems related to lower cost or market, you'll know what you're doing. Okay. If you notice over here, there's all this verbiage. Don't worry about this yet. I promise I'll go back to this when we need to. What I want you to focus on right now is over here, all right? So the first thing that you do for lower of cost or market is you figure out what the market price is. The reason that companies have to do this is because if they have inventory in their records and it's not accurate, such as their inventory is very old and it's become obsolete, and if they're still valuing that inventory at what they paid for it, then it's not real. So the Financial Accounting Standards Boards makes companies go in and put inventory on the books at lower of cost or market. First step that we're going to go over one more time is the market value. So there'll be two steps. You'll figure out market first. Second, you're going to figure out, well, you won't have to figure out cost. Cost will always be given to you. Okay, so remember that. Cost will always be given to you if they want you to do that. Okay, they're just asking you to figure out market, then they won't give you cost. All right, so market. This is market. You're going to learn there'll be three numbers. Here's the first number. I hope I put up three. All right. Here's the first is the ceiling, and it's also known as net realizable value. Okay, so write that in your notes. Here's how you'll get it. You'll take the selling price. You'll subtract, if they give this to you, cost of completion, or if they give you cost of disposal, you will subtract those numbers. Some of the problems, they won't even give that to you, okay? But if they do, that's what you will do with those costs. You will subtract them. That will give you the ceiling, also known as the net realizable value. Next is the replacement cost. Easy peasy. That will always be given to you. You don't have to figure out replacement cost. What is that? Replacement cost is the market price to replace the inventory, okay? Third cost that you will determine if they do not give it to you. Sometimes they'll give you what the floor is and they'll make it easy. If they don't give it to you, this is how you'll get it. You'll take the ceiling. So whatever your answer is to the ceiling, that will be your starting number. You will subtract a normal profit margin, and that will give you the floor. The floor is also known as net realizable value minus a normal profit margin. Okay? All right, so let's look at this particular problem that we're going over. For me, it's on page 8-33. Not sure what it is for you, but it's exercise 8.1. Here's what it says. Stiles Corporation uses the lower cost or market rule for each of two products in its ending inventory. A profit margin of 30% on the selling price is considered normal for each product. All right, so they don't give us the normal profit margin. They're going to make us figure it out. So what do they tell us? They tell it's 30% of the selling price. I'm going to go over how to compute A first. So here, I'm just determining over here. Here's the selling price, $150 times 30%, okay? And that gives you $45, all right? That is the normal profit margin for product A. Okay, now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to figure out the ceiling. All right, so the ceiling is $150 minus, well, let's look. What did they have for cost? They have cost of disposal. They don't have cost of completion in this particular problem, but they have cost of disposal. So I go 150 minus 32, and that gives me 118. So my ceiling is 118, okay? Now I'm going to start on my floor. So remember, this is the normal profit margin, okay? I figured that right there. So now I'm going to take my ceiling, I'm going to start with that, which is 118, and I'm going to subtract out the normal profit margin, which is 45. And that gives me $73. So far I have two numbers. I have the ceiling and I have the floor, okay? So this is also known as the floor, all right? Okay, so now I go look back at the problem. What's the replacement cost for product A? It's 70. That will always be given to me. All right, now, this is the verbiage, okay? You have this where the market value should not be more than the net realizable value, which is the estimated selling price in the ordinary course minus predictable cost. The ceiling imposes an upper bound that prevents inventory from being valued higher than what the company could sell it for, okay? All right, let me show you an easy way to do this, okay? All right, so watch me. You've got the three numbers, 70, 118, and 73, okay? Always pick the number in the middle of only market value. Now remember, I'm not including cost yet. Do not include cost when you're figuring out the market value. So always choose the number in the middle. Well, what's the number in the middle? I'm going to circle it. It's 73, okay, of those three numbers. Now I'm ready. So I have my answer to the market value is 73. Then I go over and I compare it to cost. All right, well, the floor is lower than the cost, so I am going to choose 73, okay? So my answer is the floor, and this is the reason. The market value should not be less than the net realizable value, a normal profit margin. The floor constraint prevents an excessive write-down of inventory. The floor constraint prevents profit distribution, understating inventory, and overstating losses. Okay? All right, so that's my answer to A. Now let's work on B. All right, B. Again, we have to figure out the market. So I'm going to erase, because this is going to be different, right? All right, so what it says is 30% of the selling price. So what is the selling price for B? The selling price for B is 200. Okay, so I'm going to take 200 and I'm going to multiply it by 30%. What am I figuring out? I'm figuring out the normal profit margin. This particular problem, they didn't give it to us. So I take 200 times 30%, and that gives me $60. All right, I'm going to use that later on. That's my normal profit margin. Okay, so now I go back to the problem. Let me input my numbers. All right, so I'm going to start with the ceiling. The selling price is 200. Then I subtract out the disposal, cost of disposal, which is 47. And that gives me 153. So my answer to the ceiling is 153. Okay? All right, now I'm going to work on the floor, which is net realizable value less a normal profit margin. So I'm going to start with my ceiling, which is 153. I'm going to subtract out my normal profit margin that I figured right here, and that's going to equal 93. Okay? All right. I'm going to wait to circle this. Here's why. Here's my market. My market for floor is 93. My market for the ceiling is 153. The replacement cost is given to me. It's 98. Okay? All right, so I'm going to choose the number in the middle. Okay? which is 93, right? So 93, so when students always ask me in class, you're not in class, but they'll ask me, does it matter in what order I put the three numbers? No, but I'm setting it up for the accounting software for you. You can set it up in any order for the market. You just always have to choose the number in the middle. So remember that, the number in the middle. So the number in the middle is 93, right? No, that's the lowest numbers. Okay. Okay, so the 98, sorry everybody, I'm on camera, so the number in the middle is 98, just making sure you're paying attention out there, all right, 98, and then I'm going to compare that 98 to the 96. So which one is lower? The lower one is cost. So in this case, I am going to choose cost, all right, because the lower cost to market. In this case, I just keep it. I don't have to make a journal entry. This one, I would have to make a journal entry in order to decrease my balance sheet. This one, it's already at 96, so I keep it at that number, okay? And so for product B, there is no effect of opposing a ceiling and floor constraint because the replacement cost is between the ceiling and floor, okay? So that's how you do that exercise. Get right in the lab. You are going to have similar ones. The other ones are going to be just like what I explained over here, all right? So, and practice the practice problem that I made up before you do those other problems, okay? All right, get in the lab, get the homework done, and some of you were in there right away. I see that. Keep it up. You're doing a great job. All right, see you soon.